gamers, and guess what? Civil War, baby! Now we're starting to understand what the story is, but it kind of feels like you decide the story, and you get to, like, choose a side. And I've got to say, I'm enjoying the game so far. This is the most contrived nonsense ever to get a story going. There's no getting around it. Even when it was happening and I didn't know where it was going, I was like, this doesn't make sense. This is like just really stupid. We don't need to do this at all in any way, shape, or form. And we go ahead and do it because that's the spark that's going to set the story going. So I need to give some context to what's happening. I finally was able to get on with the MSQ. I'd done all the side stuff that I could find. Not all of it, though, as it turns out. There's so many areas that are branched off and adjoining, and there's people within those that actually trigger events to make other things happen. So I'm trying my best to get them all, and people are trying to point me in the right directions about, you should really find this guy who's in this sort of, like, alleyway, or, like, you know, just pathway to somewhere, and talk to him, because that's going to do something, like, later on, which is really important. So I'm trying my best, but sometimes we just can't find them, even with people, like, using guides, which is really interesting. It's like, okay, this guy, I think he's called Klasko. Klasko is a guy who is near the Youth League in a sort of mountain pass, who is just stood near a wall. You talk to him, he says, I need to find my place in the world, and he runs off. And it's like, okay, you need to talk to him again. So we went looking for him, can't find him anywhere. And then people are looking at guides, like, okay, he's actually moved to this other zone. So we went there. He's over on the east side. He's not there. Okay, he's somewhere else. Then someone booted their game up and like, well, I've got him in chapter 1 here. So I don't know why he's not here. I don't know. But we're trying our best. But either way, the story takes a turn in that the Youth League, which I've not liked since the start. I don't like people weaponizing children. Not that New Yevon are much better. They're liars, so it's like the lesser of two evils, right? The Youth League has its own faith, essentially, although they're not calling it that. They're relatively well written in terms of the setup, in that they've got this kind of charismatic leader, I believe he's called Nuge, who's missing an arm and a leg. So there's clearly something that's happened to him that sent him on his course, and he's like leading the Youth League. And the premise of the Youth League is that New Yevon are liars, which they are, and they're holding, but that what the lie isn't exactly clear. It's more manipulative lies in the name of faith and religion. But the Youth League has twisted that, seemingly, into that they're lying about the entire history of everything. And they're concealing all this information. And all we're trying to do as the Youth League is get the truth. We want to know about the truth of where we came from. We want to know the truth about our history. We want to know the truth about what happened. All these kinds of things. And these spheres, which are essentially, you know, data drives, are being concealed by New Yevon, so we need to get them back so that we can just have the truth, because the spheres just contain the truth. I suspect later on we will find manipulated spheres. That might be a thing, so it's more propaganda. But they're not wrong. New Yevon does have these spheres, and we go to this temple that's under attack, and New Yevon has locked it down because the Youth League is attacking, saying we're after the sphere. New Yevon's like, we haven't got a sphere. There is no sphere here. We don't know what you're talking about. Like, why are you attacking us? Like, stop attacking us. So you look a little further and deeper into it, and they do have a sphere. That's the lie, right? And they are absolutely prepared for this. They've even prepared defenses to protect the sphere. So that just emboldens the Youth League. It's like, yeah, they are lying. Like, this is absolutely what's going on. And people are dying now, right? They're fighting in this temple and stuff. Like, there's wars going on. So anyway, we claim the sphere as our little sphere hunters. We claim the sphere and take it with us. And then the contrivance happens, in that Yuna decides this sphere belongs to the people. It's very Indiana Jones. We shouldn't have it. This is an important sphere, and it's not that important, actually. It shows a weapon that's being constructed, which we do find out later is New Yevon's aware of this weapon and maybe even built this weapon, and it's a very dangerous weapon. So the sphere shows that this weapon exists, and it shows a scene of Tidus and Yuna in front of the weapon getting shot down, which is unusual, to say the least, right? And so Yuna decides this sphere belongs to the people, so we need to give it back to the people. And then the game just goes, all right, are you going to give it to the Youth League, or are you going to give it to New Yevon? I'm like, why would I give it to either of those people? These are warring factions. Like, why wouldn't we give it to some sort of academic body, a museum, you know, something like that is unbiased in the sort of civil and political climate, why wouldn't we give it to, if we're going to give it back to the people, why wouldn't we give it to them? Why don't we just broadcast it and just share it with everybody, right? Like, we can physically hold on to this. There's so many ways of just not being in the situation where we're seemingly favoring one side over another. But in order for the game to happen, you have to choose. So I'm presented with these options of either give it to the Youth League, who are arming children, making child soldiers, or New Yevon, which are clearly like old school, archaic, and keeping secrets from people. So I'm like, I don't know, man. But if I'm weighing up both sides, I guess I'm going New Yevon, just because, you know, I don't particularly like the image of my children with machine guns and swords in their hands, like swiping at people. That doesn't make me happy. So I'm like, all right, I guess we'll go this way, but I don't like either of them. So you give this, I gave the sphere to New Yevon. This then changes the whole game after this. Now, everywhere that the Youth League has a presence, you're not allowed to go anymore. They've just locked it down entirely. If you go to the beach where New Yevon is building their base, I think it's called Luca, if you go there, Donna, who's a member of the Youth League, just stands at the door and is like, you're not coming in. Like, we respect you, Yuna, as the High Summoner, but you're not coming in. You need to leave. And now you can't go to various other places in the game, but you can go to the New Yevon supported places. Like, they're okay. They're going to let you in because you showed favor to them. I'm like, this is not necessary at all, but it is what it is, and that's where the story's going so far. That's what we're on about. Now, what happened then as we entered Chapter 2 is the story kind of came to a pause again, because that's the nature of this game, is you end up doing all those sorts of other stuff, which some of it is fun, some of it is not. Like, there was a very boring quest of just giving tickets out for a show. They keep building to the show that the Pelu Pelu are running, and every chapter seems to advance that. So at first you were like, were you telling people about the show? I think at first you were marketing the show. Now you're selling tickets to the show. And then that comes to a stop. And I assume in Chapter 3, there'll be another element of getting the band for the show. Speaking of that, we keep adding people to our crew. This is getting a little weird. There was a very abrupt moment that happened in the story where we had just dealt with this sphere, right? We've raided the temple. We fought a big boss. All that stuff going on. And, they get back to the ship and they're kind of tired. They're like, oh, we've got these tough decisions to make. Like, what are we doing with the sphere? Blah, blah, blah. And then they go, you know what we need? And it's like, what? We need Yuna to dance for us. I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And Yuna's like, yeah. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, dance for us, Yuna. Dance, dance, dance. So it's like, okay. I'm like, this is really odd. Which then led to us, we've met a band, an actual like musical band that we've added to our crew. And they just play music in a hallway on their own all day, even though there is a like bar with a stage next to them. They don't go in there. They stand in the corridor, which then led to a mission where you physically push the NPCs into the elevator because they won't stop playing their music. So you shove them in. And then we get this bizarre cutscene of Yuna putting on this pop concert on the ship, and everyone like, yay! And then Yuna getting really mad about the situation afterwards. Like, she just goes, I'm going to bed. Like, they really reiterate the sort of like immature nature of these characters. It's very odd, and it feels so out of place because the story of the singing and the girls and them being like the Charlie's Angels and their YRP and all this kind of stuff is so out of place compared to the rest of the gameplay, which is much more traditional Final Fantasy. And you just have this weird juxtaposition happen between the two, and you're like, what is happening right now? And why is it happening? It's so odd, and it's part of the magic of Final Fantasy, which hits for some and doesn't hit for others. Sometimes it's like, this is just really weird, right? I'm a monkey boy running around with a princess named Dagger, right? You know, all these kinds of weird things. It's like, that's really odd. But you've got to roll with it or not, right? Yeah, so I can't remember the name of the big frog lady with the tongue that joins the team in FF9. What's she called? I love that character too. Well, I can't remember, but you've just got to roll with the punches with these kind of games, right? And do like, yeah, okay, sure, let's move forward with it. He's called Hope and Snow and things like that. And Lightning. you just got to roll with it, otherwise you're going to have a bad time. Which then pushed us on to deal with, we got mugged during the concert. The ship got raided by LeBlanc. LeBlanc is back. Team Rocket, which clearly is a Team Rocket influence. LeBlanc always rolls with the like big fat soldier and the skinny sort of, I'm very mature soldier, with him. And they've stolen the sphere. So we need to get that back now. They've stolen our sphere. So we need to go and get that back, which is where we're up to in the story, is breaking in and sneaking in, which then led, and we've got to point this out, and it should be the title of this video in order to gain more attention, the most sexual cutscene in Final Fantasy history so far. This thing is weird. Really weird. And it's so unnecessary. It's frankly bizarre. I set the scene for you. We're at LeBlanc's base, and we're trying to sneak in. So in order to sneak in, the girls plan to steal the outfits of the female goons. They're called femme goons. Steal their outfits, dress up as members of LeBlanc's team, and infiltrate the base. That's the plan. So they don't tell you where these outfits are. You've got to kind of go around and explore, and you'll beat up some of these women and steal their clothes, which is very graphic in itself. Like, the cameraman was doing work on these moments. So you sneak in, and as we sneak in, the scenario is playing out in a cutscene. And the cutscene is, LeBlanc has just been by Nuge. Like, she is overwhelmingly in love with this guy, and the implication is very obvious that he has just rocked up to LeBlanc's base and now is leaving, and she's all sad and mopey that he's going away back to work, and she's like, ugh. So the next portion of this is you go in and get told that you need to attend to LeBlanc's needs, as is your duty. And it's like, what is going on here? And there's a very vibey, if you're an adult especially, there's a very vibey indication that you're supposed to go in there. She needs that, apparently, that because it's the way it's worded. It's like, you must attend to LeBlanc's needs now. She's waiting for you in the bedroom. You go and do your duty, and you kind of go, what is my duty? And it goes, you know what you need to do. And you're like, this is really gross, what's happening now. You don't bang her. I was like, has she had a shower? This is gross. No, instead you give her an extremely sensual massage. Her left side seems very... Let's go for left boob.
Ah, there! Ooh.
Perfect!
Not quite. That's nice.
This is so weird.
Oh.
Who voice acted this?
That's nice. Ah, there!
And I mean, voice acted to hell and back. You've got to find the sweet spot. It's a mini game. You've got to find the sweet spot on her back, on her butt, on her side boobs. I mean, I'm not bragging here, but I've given my wife a lot of massages. And these massages, it kind of reminds me of Pulp Fiction. It was like, where is it? Where John Travolta's like, I've given 1 million ladies 1 million foot massages, and they all mean something. Like, there's nothing outside of going to a clinic. If you're giving a private one-on-one, like, massage, foot massage, there's a thing going on there for sure, especially in this situation. And so you give this and if you find a sweet spot, it's the most egregious erotic noises that the voice actor had to do. I was like, who voice acted this? And got told, like, okay, what we're going to do here is have this woman, after you've been railed by this guy, you're going to lie on the bed, and you're going to have this woman massage you. Forced massage. Like, that's her job, even though she's just a grunt. And she's going to have to find the sweet spot, or the player's going to have to find the sweet spot on your back. And when he hits the right spot, you need to really let him know you've hit the right spot. And you earn points for hitting the right spot, and you've got to reach a certain point threshold to satisfy her. Very weird. Very weird. Really uncomfortable, actually. Very awkward. And when that's done, she just falls asleep. She has a nice little sleep. And off you go to continue the story of relieving her of her stolen sphere, which is where we're up to now. But yeah, weird game. Weird game, man. Weird game. So God knows what adventures we'll get into tomorrow. I have a fear. I want to point this out now because I'm definitely feeling it. I have a fear that because so much of the game is buried in the side content and the story sort of takes massive pauses in an almost Fallout style, that might lead to a little bit of disjointed gameplay. And like, oh, I'm doing all this, and then we get back to some very weird storytelling, and then off you go to do normal Final Fantasy stuff, and then you come back and do this stuff. We'll see. Apparently, according to percentage, we're like 30% of the way through the game. A lot of the side stuff contributes to that percentage, so they clearly want you to do it. So we'll see where it goes, but that's it for now. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.